And welcome back to Late Night Love. From the frustrations of raising teens to the uncertainty of young relationships, and even the stress of holiday traditions, this segment is all about the messy, the beautiful reality of love in its many forms. And before we get to all that, hey, do us a favor. You guys hit that like, subscribe, shares button. Do that for us. And also remember, you can find us at latenightLove.us, and you can send us your questions, comments, suggestions, etc. to love@latenightLove.us. Have fun with all that.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you can find this segment on KUBU 965 on Live 365.
Ooh.
We've got to change that. Anyway, I've got to talk to him about rebranding that. Anyway, it's just terrible to say. It's got a ring to it, but it's overly cumbersome. All right.
Why does every parent feel entitled to drop their kids right off at the front door? It's school drop off.
Yeah. I don't know when this changed. I guess it changed. Must have been in the 90s, late 90s, mid to late 90s, when somewhere around there where kids stopped walking to school. And if you're not gonna allow your kids to walk half a mile to school, then you're gonna drop them off as close as you can, because that's just, human parenting instinct. Now, some of us didn't do that. We dropped them off where it was the easiest to get in and out, right? We avoided the line. We drop them off across the street, a block away, 2 blocks away. They can walk the rest of the way. They're fine. But there's no school around. There's no school within walkable distance.
Not here.
Not here. Well, I guess technically.
Well, yeah, the high school.
Yeah, but it's a charter high school, not a public high school, and it's got some goofy things to it. So, I'm not a believer in uniforms. So the fact that they had uniforms was just simply a no-go. So the boys went to a school over there. Daughter went to a different school. The daughter type unit went to a school way out there. And they all went all kinds of different places. It's what it is. And so why do you drop them off as close as you can? Because you drop them off as close as you can, because you're trying to protect your
child.
Your child.
Yeah.
I think we also forget that, there's an evolutionary trauma that I don't think we understand. For most of human history, if half of the children made it to adulthood, you were doing good. Right? Half the children you birthed made it to adulthood, you were doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And so we used to have lots of children. Well, now we get 1, maybe 2. And so instinctively, that makes them more precious. You don't have any spares. And how does that psychologically play out?
This is how. Yeah.
Overprotectiveness.
Overprotective. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that plays out. So now there's also a growing sense of entitled. I get to do what I want without having to consider what other people. But they're stuck in the same line as everybody else. So it's not like they don't have to pay the same consequences. So the fact that you're complaining about having to sit in line to drop your kid off as close as possible because all these other people, how dare them want to do the exact same thing I want to do. I should be able. Yeah. You're all wanting to do the same thing, and you're all going to have to wait a little bit to do it. And the schools don't want them to be dropped off earlier in the line because it creates some dangers. You get kids crossing in front of cars. It's not a good thing. So because of school policies, you end up only having the drop off zone, and it becomes a night what appears to be a nightmare, but it's a better nightmare than the
The
chaotic.
alternative.
The alternative is you go back to smaller schools in neighborhoods, but we don't do that. So you have more smaller schools rather than,
Yeah.
but we don't do that, so people can walk.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, this poor lady. I feel like as a parent, I'm doing all the right things. Support her, keep her safe, be cool when it permits, but still be her mom. She makes me feel like I'm the most awful parent on the planet. She's so mean to me. Wants nothing to do with me. I ask how her day is. I get shitty responses. She's only nice when she wants me to buy her something or wants some specific food. This girl is 16.
Sounds
16.
Yeah, that sounds like about a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's normal.
that is relatively normal for a 16-year-old girl.
Now, I can tell you as experience, they come out of it around 20, 21. Then they start looking up to you again and it switches, but this is going to last for a while.
Now, here's the thing. It's perfectly acceptable for her not to want anything to do with you, right? You can accept that. You're just going to have to accept that as a parent.
Yeah.
But you do not have to accept her being mean to you,
No.
right? So there's a line there that you cannot let her cross.
And my retort to when they gave shitty responses was, do I treat you like that? Do I talk to you like that? I can. I don't do that. Don't do it to me.
I raised boys, and raising boys was different because you could be more direct with boys. So, but yeah, what do you do about a 16-year-old girl who is being mean to her mother? This is one of these things where it's where it's good to have a father in the house, because then the father gets to step in and says, you don't get to behave like that. What the heck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So if she has a father or a father figure in her life,
Yes.
this is what it's his duty, quite frankly, the other person, to step in and be the bad cop to prevent her from. This is why you need partners, because if you're on alone trying to do this is where it becomes hard,
Yes.
because now you've got your emotions involved, right? And it's going to be difficult for you to navigate this. So it's best when you can pass this kind of thing off onto the other parent. Perfectly acceptable for them to not want to do anything. They're finding themselves out. They're teenagers. They don't want anything to do with their parents. They're embarrassed by you, quite frankly, that you even exist. It doesn't matter what.
Truly.
It doesn't matter what or who you are. They're embarrassed by your pure existence.
They are.
So, but it doesn't mean they get to be mean. Doesn't mean they get to, treat you awful. And that's when the second parent gets to step in and gets to be essentially the heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you've got a grandparent, this is usually, if you don't have the father, this is where a grandfather or an uncle or someone gets to take them aside, and say, the wrath of God will come on down raining on you. It's perfectly fine. You can be an angsty teen. You can keep it to yourself. I don't care about any of that. I care that you have crossed a line.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. Perfectly normal. We'll work through
You
it.
can't be mean to people. This is where you learn that.
Yeah. And because here's the thing. If I hear about you being mean to her again, you're going to find out what being mean really is. Yeah. But you have to have someone who's, willing to back that up. someone you don't want to go spend a week with. Yeah. Hopefully you've got someone in the family who owns a farm. And
This is what used to happen.
Yeah.
You used to get shipped off to your uncle's house.
You get up at 4 a.m. to go feed the chickens.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what used to happen. You don't get up at 4 a.m. to feed the chickens, baby. Milk the cows.
How do I know? Luckily, my mother didn't know any farmers because I would have been sent to the farm. Just saying. All right. I'm not sure we answered that question, but
You will survive this.
Yeah.
You really will. Try and, I was going to say try and remember how you were, but obviously you weren't like this, but you're trying to give her a life lesson here. You can't treat people like shit.
yeah, call in a heavy. And my
Yeah.
suggestion is to call in a heavy.
Okay.
If it's her father, it's her father. If it's a grandfather or uncle, it's a grandfather or uncle. If you don't know any of those, find a scary biker. It's
Stop it.
I'm serious. You don't treat your mother like, just someone who can reinforce the idea that you don't get to treat your mother like that. All right. What's next?
I'm unsure whether to make things official before with the talking stage. He has a talking stage girl
Uh-huh.
going on, and she's going away for college,
Uh-huh.
and he's wondering about making it official.
Don't bother. You're just going to be heartbroken.
Sorry, hun.
Yeah. Keep it going as talking. There's no reason to make it official. You're 18
Yeah.
for the love of.
Yeah, sorry.
And you don't want to box. This is, again, goes back to one of these things. You don't want to box her in at this moment anyway, right? You don't want her thinking about relationships and stuff when she should be focusing on her first year of college.
Yeah.
She should be focusing on her first year of college. So realistically, you should be a supportive friend that has the hopes of going farther. As long as that's all open and clear, you can continue down that path. But there's no reason to make anything official because it doesn't mean anything at 18 anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Not to poo-poo your feelings.
No.
They're very strong.
Yeah, it's just the reality of it. And, and the best way to make it official is actually to let it be for a while.
Yeah.
Just be the person you are. Let nature take its course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This is one for you. Dad here. Just trying to figure out how to be a parent of a 13-year-old girl. He has a hard time getting her out the door to school.
Yeah. Okay. Here's how I did it. Right. We were leaving whether they were fully ready or not. I didn't have any rules on when they went to bed. The only rule is they had to be out the door at the time we were out the door, and it was whatever time it was. I forget what it is. I didn't care if they were fully dressed. There were times where my daughter was finishing getting dressed in the car. And I don't ever remember with her having to do anything special to create that. I think I had to throw water on Anthony once to get him out of bed. You only have to do that kind of thing once.
Yeah.
Everybody gets the message, even though Anthony didn't care. But the rest of them got the message. Didn't work on the one person I did it to, but it worked on the rest of them. So take that for what it means. Well, the rest of them saw I was willing to go that far, and Anthony wasn't going to care anyway. So, but they would have. So Anthony was hard-headed. First, you got to figure out what is causing her to be late. Is she mistiming? Is she sleeping? She do like my daughter, who was just sleeping through her alarms. She fully intended to get up in time. She'd set like 6 alarms and she'd just sleep through them.
Poor thing.
And so the trick was finding the right set of alarms that would actually trigger her to wake up.
Mhm.
You had to get the right sounds to trigger her to wake up. And once you found that, then it was a matter of, okay, being disciplined to get up. Which, of course, eventually meant she made it so she had to be disciplined for her to go to bed within her time frame. She had to understand herself, and she eventually learned that. Was it an easy process? No. No. At 13, here's the thing. At 13 years old, everybody is having trouble getting their 13-year-old out the door on time. Well, not everybody, but almost everybody is having trouble getting their 13-year-old out the door on time. And those other the ones that aren't, that 13-year-old is having trouble getting their parents out the door on time. Come on, mom, we're late.
One of those kids.
Yeah. So, A, you're not feeling the failure here. You're just a struggling parent like everybody else, trying to motivate a teenager to go someplace where they don't want to be. Okay. And that is not an easy thing. And we have been trying to, as human beings, have been trying to figure this out for, I don't know, how old are those tablets in Egypt? 4,000 years?
Something like that.
Yeah, at least 4,000 years. So,
You know, there's one in Roman times about a man just seething that he couldn't get his teenager out the door because he kept preening his hair.
so no, nothing has changed, right? Thousands of years. We're still trying to figure out, how do I get my kids to make something of themselves, right? It's the same basic question we've been having with ourselves forever. And every parent has been pulling their hair out trying to figure out, how do I do this? You look at other parents who do it and says that doesn't work for me because it's not their equation is different than yours. And it doesn't work for them as well as it looks. And you know, they show up all the time, but what you don't see is that they're only half dressed. You know, the house is a disaster. Mom still has to go back and clean up after breakfast because the milk is still out and the cereal bowls are still on the table, and you know. So here's my suggestion: just do the best you can, because you know what? That's all you're going to do anyway. You know, work with your kid to try to find a routine that works for them, and hopefully you're not dealing with a night owl, because that makes it immensely more difficult.
Yeah.
But for anything but a night owl, you just help them find their routine, so that their routine finishes in time, so they can get up in time, so they can, you know. And every child has a different routine. Like I didn't like having a long period of time between when I woke up and left the door, left the house. Still don't. And other people need 2 hours before they're ready to face the world, right?
Yeah, I do.
And so you're going to have to help them figure out what their morning routine is. Are they a long slow burn person, or they just roll out of bed, grab a granola bar and head out the door? Right? And support whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't fight their nature. Okay.
2-year-old doesn't sleep in his bed. Help. Okay, this little booger, you know, he'll sleep in bed with his parents.
Uh-huh.
But they gave him a room, a toddler bed, you know, and he will jump on the bed, sing songs, play with his toys, you know, and flail around. He'll do anything to keep himself awake. He'll up until 4 a.m.
Yeah. Because you know why? It's scary. Your own room is scary. You lived your whole life either in a crib or with your parents. And now all of a sudden you're expected to sleep in a whole different room, this big, huge. Sure, it's got all your
shadows.
Sure, it's got.
I didn't like the shadows.
You still remember that, right?
Yeah, I do.
And so you're a 2-year-old experiencing all this for the first time. So here's the thing, and this is a trick I wish I would have known. camp in his room with him for a few couple days.
Yeah.
Let him experience the room with you, so he can adjust to it being the normal, and then you can remove it. And 2 is pretty young,
It is.
and so it's going to be a longer process than if it was a little older.
Yeah.
He's still going to want to come in, and he's still going to end up sleeping in your room half the night anyway, even if you can't get him to fall asleep in his room.
Yeah.
And the other option is, okay, let him fall asleep in your bedroom, and then you move him to his bedroom so he wakes up
In his room.
in his room. Some kids will wake up in a panic, others won't. So,
I always thought that was magical. I'd wake up in a different place. Wow.
so yeah, see, so we all experience that differently. So, so, again, we're back to time-honored, parenting things. How do you get that 2-year-old out of your bed? You choose one of the 2 methods, right? You either accept the fact that a 2-year-old, you try to find a way to get him to start sleeping in his room, understanding that he's going to wake up halfway through and come into your bed, but you've got him half, right? You've accomplished half the goal. Or you move them to the room so they can slowly acclimate, and eventually he'll start using the room to sleep.
Okay.
For naps and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's not a light switch.
No.
If you're expecting a light switch, well, we created his bed. Why can't we want to sleep in it? Well, because he's 2.
Yeah. There's a lot of feelers surrounding this.
It's 2, and it's, there's an unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And he's comfortable with the unknown. And why wouldn't he be?
Yeah.
I mean, with the known.
With the known.
Yeah, he's comfortable in a bassinet or bed with mom and dad. That's nice and safe. That's all I know. It's literally all he knows. So yeah, he's going to resist change. Okay,
this poor lady. The ads are telling my kids what I bought them for Christmas.
No, they're not.
The algorithms.
No, the ads are, but they don't know that.
That is the point. They don't know. You don't have to tell them. They can actually desire that present. Hey, how's that? And maybe even, ask you for it. Ask Santa. Because, how cool is that?
Well, because here's the thing. If they've been typing, if they did a search for it, right, then it's going to start showing you that stuff. If they, look for things related to it, it's going to show you, if they look for something related to like a Switch or whatever, then you're going to start seeing games and stuff related to Switches. So I think both of you can be feeding this algorithm to show these same things. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. The
only thing that's going to give this up is if you do.
Yeah.
So
be cool.
Yeah.
Be frosty.
Yep. And remember, kids see ads all the time. It's background noise to them now.
Yeah.
They don't even notice.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember a single commercial from my childhood except for Campbell's soup. Good.
I remember the Wendy's, where's the beef commercial.
Oh, that one too. That was a good one. Okay, we could go off on a tangent here.
The reach out and touch someone commercials. There's a whole slew of them.
I'd like to buy the world a Coke.
Yeah. I'm a pepper. You're a pepper. She's a pepper. He's a pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? All right. So what do we have for the question of this one?
Okay, this is one for me.
Okay. All right. Okay. Here you go.
Do you make your own advent calendar? I make advent calendar for my granddaughter this year. And we took a day trip up to Oregon to deliver it. I go to Dollar Tree. I buy 24 small toys, $1 each, $24. That's a bargain. And wrap them individually. I number them and layer them in order in bags, and so that they can pull them out, one at a time. And I get videos from my daughter, about my granddaughter opening these presents. Now, there's a history here. My mother did it for my children. My grandmother did it for me. Each grandmother in our family does advent calendars for the grandchildren. And so that's the tradition in my matriarchal line.
Oh, no, I don't make an advent calendar.
Now, I personally buy chocolate covered cherries. And I'll tell you, I have one a day. And I'll tell you the desire to, it's like being a kid again. I want another one.
I can do that with Doritos. All I'm gonna say. All right, that wraps up this episode of Late Night Love. Love is not always easy, but it is always worth exploring. That's it for me and Lubby tonight. Please remember to That's it from me and Lubby tonight. Please remember to have a good night. Please remember to love everyone.